All right. Let's see. All right. Let me trying to figure out this StreamYard program. All right. So, as you can see in the title of this video, we will be scrapping out a desktop computer. I decided to do 2 desktop computers. So the first one's going to be a Core 2 Duo type desktop computer, and the second one will be an i5 or an i3. I have to look at the plate, but the first one will be an HP. Let's see if it zooms. I mean, it focuses right here. Okay, it's not going to. Anyway, this is a typical office type desktop tower that's used. So let's go ahead and pop it open. If it wants to. It's the other side. Alright, there you go. Perfect. So there are 2 buttons on the side of this. One here, another one, same place, but other side. Sorry, by the way, if I have to leave abruptly. I won't be turning off the stream, but I will just walk away for a few moments because my business is currently open right now, and I own and operate an e-waste center. So you will need to excuse me if I walk away for a moment. So this computer is a Core 2 Duo, right? And the computer like this, when I receive it, of course, as usual, I go ahead and try to salvage as much as possible from hardware like this. So situations like this, items that are more valuable in an older computer would be the power supply, if it still functions, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get a power cord. We'll test it on the spot. Let's see if it works. Okay, so let's do this. I'm not able to plug it in to a monitor to see because currently this workbench is only set up to stream, so I only have 1 monitor, but I can see if it turns on and if it stays on. I mean, that's good enough for me for the purposes of seeing if it functions in regards to the power supply. So, okay. It turned on, then turned off. So sometimes these do have that function for some reason. When power first runs through them, the HPs and the Dells. Let's try it one more time. And let's see if it turns off again. Okay. It seems like it's fine. See, I'm not sure if you can tell from the light over here. Yeah, the camera's not picking it up. Anyway, it's on right now. So that's the good news. So we can salvage the power supply, right? That was the point I was making. So with these models, it's really easy. Well, first let's hold the power button while it's unplugged. Try to get rid of all the power that's left. Okay. So we just have our 24-pin connector, as well as, let's open this up, our 4-pin connector right in here, right? So just go ahead, start unplugging that, removing the SATA cables from both the CD drive and the hard drive, right? And then we unplug the power, unplug the connecting cables. That's it, and then it pops right out. There you go. It's on rails, so you have to slide it forward and then pop it straight vertically. So power supply is done. Hard drive on these models is really easy, but in regards to just regular desktop computers, what I do if they're older, right? I'll go ahead and I'll format it. If the customer wishes, I drill them, I drill holes through them, and then I just destroy them just for good measure before selling them per pound. So I get around, if I'm not mistaken, I get around, oh, I did something to the chat. What did I do to the chat? There you go. Okay. So I get around, I'm pretty sure around $1 a pound for these. The price has changed as of late. I haven't sold hard drives in like 6 months, 5 months, but that'll be the situation with this, right? So nonetheless, this will be separated and scrapped out, you know, for its weight value. If it was a solid state and if the customer didn't request for it to be physically destroyed, I would just format it with programs, basically writes ones and zeros over like the whole hard drive, and then I get to reuse it. So we just unplug anything else that will be hindering us from taking out the board, right? So I forgot what the name of this port was, but anyway, these are just will be recycled as wires. I'll be cutting them. Let's take out the CD drive. So this is the same thing with these models. They made it very easy. It just pops out if it wants to. Let's see if I just, oh, you know what? Just take out the drive. Okay. So we'll put that here, right? Now let's go ahead and check out the RAM, if it's a DDR2 or a DDR3. If it's DDR2, I sell it per pound. If it's DDR3, I sell it per piece. So this, hopefully if the camera gets it, okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but it says PC2, so that means it's a DDR2. So this, I'm debating if I should just see what I do at my recycling center is that I go ahead and I ship these out as complete pieces. Of course, I take out certain pieces that I can sell separately per pound, but because I have limited space over here, I don't take everything apart when the unit is older. This unit is a Core 2 Duo model, but just for the reference of this video to show you how items are scrapped out, I am going to go ahead and take out the RAM. Alright, so far we've taken out the hard drive, the power supply, and the RAM. Alright, now the rest, okay, let's go ahead, might as well take out the board too. So once again, typically I wouldn't do this on a Core 2 Duo model. It's just really not worth my time, because the calculation I've made is they pay me basically around 25 cents a pound for the tower. That's including the metal, including the motherboard, the power supply, the optical drive, and I could have removed one major component such as the hard drive, the RAM, or the CPU. Sometimes if I have an understanding with the buyer, I could take out 2 out of the 3 major components. But in situations like this, just for the video, I'll be taking it out. But typically, I won't remove a board because it's marginal, the amount of money extra I'll be making just by removing the board. If I sell the board per pound separately and yada, 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 all this stuff. So, without talking too much, as if I haven't already done so, we will take out the board. This is not the right size. Okay, right now we're just taking out the screws for this. All right. So I have another video coming up. I haven't made a video in like over a month. Just so many obligations, and then with work, and I also go to school at night. I go to law school at night, so it's just very intense moment, and I wasn't able to sit there and edit the video. I had already shot it, so I anticipate on uploading the video either this weekend or Monday. But this whole live stream, I'm actually really enjoying doing it, so I'm debating on doing a live stream. I'm debating on doing a live stream probably like 2 to 4 times a week, and then uploading an edited, polished video once a week, because I want to really take it as seriously as possible. YouTube, I want to grow on YouTube, increase the following, increase the exposure. So yeah, anyway, this is the heatsink. The copper on this, I'm not too sure about. I don't know too much about heat sinks that are coated like this. Typically, if it's copper that could be sold, per pound or separately, it's pretty obvious. I don't know for this one if this is a copper coating. I'm completely unaware. So this I'll have to do further research on. But the board should be loose now. Oh, one screw left. All right. So I got a comment yesterday that I'm very what's the right word? Gentle. I'm very gentle when taking these apart. It's only for one reason. Even though the board doesn't have significant value, it's sold per pound. It's because there are so many sharp edges all around the case, and I've been cut so many times on my hand. It's ridiculous how many times. So I just I take it easy, because I'm not interested in having my hand be cut and then dealing with the cut for like a few days. So board on the side. So we've taken out RAM, optical drive, power supply, motherboard, heatsink, hard drive, some of the wires. Let's take out the remaining wires. Once again, this is a Core 2 Duo model. So let's take out the remaining wires. Let's see how this one is. I think this one goes to the front panel. So I'm just going to leave that. It's going to take me too much time to take this apart. Well, let me eat my words right now. Because I can do this. Well, let's see. Okay. All right. Well, that worked out. So I'm just going to be taking out these screws. It's primarily, looking at the bottom, this port, right? So we'll be taking out those screws, and then the remaining wires will be removed. So let's do that. Okay. All right. See, something like this, I may be able to resell it. These are like parts that may be compatible with multiple models, not just this specific HP model. So I'm going to go ahead and do research on that one. Of course, it all has to be worth my time. As far as sitting here, taking pictures, putting it online. If it isn't, I just go ahead and I sell it per pound. Obviously, when you sell things per pound, you do take a loss compared to selling them online, but that's when the margin call is made. And what I mean by that is you kind of got to value your time. It's not kind of, you actually have to value your time, and you have to see, where do I have to make that margin call? And let's pop this out. Where do I have to make that margin call where I take a loss here, but it frees up time so that I can spend my remaining time doing other, like servicing other aspects of the business or work, whatever it may be. So this thing doesn't want to come out. It's a little plastic piece. Let's see if I can turn it. Oh, you know what? Comes out from the front. All right. There's another piece. This is the power button, and then the lights, like the diagnostic lights. Okay. So all that's left is the fan. And with the fan, I believe after one screw, it should just pop right off. So we'll go ahead and do that. Pop it left, and there you go. Fan is out. Sorry for gasping for air. It is insanely hot over here. So we'll go ahead. We'll put the front cover back on. Okay, and the cover for the case itself. The wire stuck. Okay. There you go. Perfect. And there it is. Now the case, this is probably a steel case, so it will be recycled at the local scrapyard. They'll just pay me per pound. It's not much. It's a few cents per pound, but that's that. So I'm going to clean up the CPU. I already know it's a Core 2 Duo from the picture on the front, but let's just double check. So oftentimes, why I double check, there are a couple of signs you can look at, right? This lever, for example, right? When it's this way, typically it's a Core 2 Duo or Core 2 Quad. That is the max, right? When the lever is, I believe it's the other way or something like that, where it's, let me see if I can get an example and I can show you. Here you go. When the lever is like this, from the outside that comes in, this is typically an i-series processor or a later generation processor. You know, it may even be a Pentium processor, but there are newer Pentium processors, right? But there are certain generation of Core 2 Duo and Core 2 Quad processors, and that's what this socket is for. I think this is a LJ775, but there are multiple levers that use that. So this specifically is a Core 2 Duo E8500. So I can go ahead and I can check out the value of the board. You know, I'd rather do it live. That way you guys see what I mean. So this may have value as far as being sold per piece. There are certain models where they're used in offices such as this. So sometimes people don't want to change the computers. They'd rather just change the parts because it's cheaper to change a part that's $40, $50 compared to getting a new computer that's 10 times that amount. So let's do this. Let us check. See the get a model number. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna put this one DH. Right now, I'm just putting the model number on eBay just to see the value and if it's worth just refurbishing as far as like cleaning up, making sure everything works. XOIUE. All right. Nothing is popping up. Anyway, well, so in that case, something like this, if people aren't really selling it, once again, it's just going to be sold per pound. Something like this, I would imagine that it would sell probably for $20, $30, right? If it's not a sought after board. Simply put, if it's not a sought after board, it's gonna sell for $20, $30. But here's the problem: when it sells for that amount and it's not a sought after board, it may be taking up space in your garage, in your warehouse, or wherever your shop is, and it may be sitting there for 6 months, a year. I've had items when I first opened up my e-waste business that sat there for over a year, watchers, nobody bought it. But I'm paying monthly insertion fee, for the listing. Granted, it's not a lot, it's like 30, 40 cents, whatever it is. But I could have just sold it per pound, and the area it was taking, the cubby that I put these in, was taken up by an item that isn't selling. I could have put a more valuable item in there that actually sells online, and this could have been sold per pound. Anyway, I digress. This, as it is, most of this stuff will be sold per pound. So let's put this away, and let's move on to the i-series desktop computer. Let's put this all away, and I'll show you the type of computer that I take apart when I don't sell them as complete pieces. Okay. Hey, Shark Scrapper, how are you? I'm glad you could make it. All right, so you just missed it. We just took apart a Core 2 Duo. This is my second live stream for anybody that's new to the channel. So here is the i-series desktop computer. This is how I got it. I don't have the front panel, but I think I can see from the side what specific model this is. So this is a D11S. Let's see what model this is. I'm curious. Okay. So it's saying this is one of the newer optiplexes. It may be a 6th gen, a 6th or a 7th gen, or higher series processor. So we're just going to go ahead and check it out. We're going to first plug in to the power supply and make sure that works. That way we can sell that per piece, instead of selling it per pound. So let's see. No light. Typically we look for a light over here, but sometimes the light turns on once you press the power. So nothing. Aw, man. Come on. Okay. Everything is plugged in. Sometimes it takes just tinkering with things, All right. I'm working a little bit harder on this one because I actually want this one to work. Because I can probably sell the board on this for like $50, $60 easy, especially if there's a newer generation processor. Okay. Well, at the moment, I don't see it doing anything. So this video may be a repair video as well, aside from a scrap video. Just give me one moment. I'm going to see if I have another model like this. Maybe it's the power supply. I can replace it. Okay, yeah, there is no chance. I do not have it. So one of the things I do for computers like this, right, is when it's not doing what I want it to do, I'll go ahead and I'll try playing with it a little bit. I'll remove the CMOS battery. Sometimes it needs to be reset, you know. You'll be surprised. A lot of times with computers, it's not just like a black and white type thing, you know. They're so complex that, you know, one thing may throw off the other. I'll give you a simple example, and it has nothing to do with computers, but as far as desktop computers, but it has something to do with the vehicle computers. I had a car, fog light. I had got into an accident. This thing doesn't want to come out. I had got into an accident, right, years ago, and it was a front collision, and the fog light broke. I didn't recognize that the wire was bare. You know, like the fog light had broken, and for one reason or another, the wire had also been stripped. So it was just a loose wire. It was like an open-ended wire, right? From that little wire connecting low voltage to a fog light, right? And we're talking about a six-cylinder car. It's nothing crazy. That fog light and that open-ended wire, it drew power and caused the transmission to enter into limp mode, which means that it wouldn't shift out of first gear. One fog light caused the first gear not to be able to shift into second gear. So why I brought that up is that it may not be the power supply. I mean, it's higher, more than 50% chance the power supply is out, right? But I do play with it. You know, I do kind of reset it. I do try to drain the power, because by doing so, you know, I may kind of draw a lead, like kind of remove like an open-ended source that is draining power. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, absolutely. These batteries are honestly, it's a toss-up. I have, just to show you as an example, I have batteries here, and I just use them as spares. These are the replacement ones. Like this, how often these batteries I end up changing. So, and this is just in the last like 2 months, you know, because they don't go often. They don't go out that often, but you know, when they do, it causes damage, you know. So we just drew the power. We waited about a minute. Let's see if it does anything. Okay, I'm looking for the light over here. I was hoping it was turn on. That's the reset. I mean, it's not a reset. I don't know what the name of that button would be, but this typically would turn it on. Okay, well, so it may be a bad CPU too, but it's most probably the power supply. So what we're going to do in this situation, we're going to take off the heatsink. We're going to check out what type of processor is in here. It is unplugged. Perfect. And this is in, okay, so it already says on the system, you guys can't tell, but this is a DDR4 system. Hopefully it picks it up. Right here, it says DDR4. So that's another way you can tell. It's a newer system. And stuff like this, because it's newer, you know, there's still a calling, there's still people that need the parts for this. So this, for its multiple faults it may have, I will still be selling per piece the parts that I know function, because people may still buy the board for parts instead of selling it per pound, right? People may buy this board for $20, $30, even without a CPU or whatever. You know, it may not be that high, but I mean, you get the idea. And because people still use this, there are individuals that still may want to play with them, you know, in terms of try to repair them and all that stuff. Or they have a board that needs certain fuses off of, like they may need a donor board, right? Oh, sorry. Okay, let's check out what processor this is. Wow. Okay. This, and this was not pre-planned. This, and I really hope the camera can catch it. Doesn't look like it wants to. Okay. Anyway, this is a 6th gen i7. It's an i7 6700. Just for reference, if I check what this goes for, all right. You know what? Better yet, while I'm on this page, I'll tell you exactly what model this is. Okay, this is an Optiplex 7040, right? And this is a small form factor, so we're going to keep that in mind just to see what the parts are valued of this thing, right? So that's the Optiplex 7040, and this is an i7 6700. Let's see what the processor goes for. i7 6700. So we always go to sold because we want the realistic price. We don't care for the retail price. Okay, so it sells for $180 to $200, and it sells every day, and that is pre-owned. So just the processor here would be worth $180 to $200. But the thing is, we don't know if it works because the system is not proving that it works. So in situations like this, I would swap this CPU out with another CPU just to see what happens, even though the system currently is not working. I would see, it would be like a double test. It would see if the system works now with a different CPU, and if it still doesn't show anything, I'd go ahead and I would put this CPU inside another motherboard that is a 6th gen i7. So just an example of that would be this setup right here. Let me. So this is it, right? This is my bracket I use, right? I had taken this off of one of the towers. Okay, I use that. I've screwed it onto this wood piece, so there's no electricity running through it when I do have a power supply connected. But this would be an example of a board that I would use to put CPUs into and test, because I know this board works, right? Exactly. Yeah. So to answer a shark scrapper, that's exactly this. So this would be primarily for like 4th, 5th gen processors, right? And I wish I can show you. I have probably 900 cubbies, right? And those cubbies, half of them are motherboards. So I think one of my videos I did go through like an intro of this place, but I can show you a couple of. So here would be an example of another board. I know these work. They've already been tested, and they're all online. They're waiting to be purchased. But this specifically, I believe, is a first. This is like LGA 11 LGA 775, right? So I would use this board for testing those. I don't have a set board, right? Because I just go through them so often, and they sell. But I already test them before putting them inside the cubbies. So if I have, let's say, in this case, a 6th gen processor, I know where to go to get that board. It's just the setup right now with taking this bracket out is a little bit tedious. But nonetheless, what we are going to do, because the power supply is not acting the way we want it to act, we will be taking this thing apart. So, and also because I do not have another power supply like this. So let me go ahead. You know what? Let me check one more time if I have a power supply like this before taking this apart. I just may. All right. So here is a complete piece. These are some of the pieces I sell retail. They're fully functioning. This is a 6th Gen i3. So let's go ahead and open this up. Get this one out of the way. And hopefully it is the same power supply. Okay. So it looks like it's the same power supply. Let me make sure the wattage is close. Okay, 180 watts. And this one is 180 watts. Looks like it's the same. So we're going to go ahead and swap them just to see the functionality. This way, it saves me a little bit of time in terms of, going through the whole thing of taking it apart, then adding a power supply later just to see if it works. Okay, let's see. Let me just take it out. Okay. Each computer, especially these Dells, has their own specific sequence. When there is like small form factor, they have to manage, they have to be creative with the space. So the wiring is also very interesting. All right, let's do it so that I'm not gonna have a hard time putting it back later. Okay, and we pop this one out. Okay, and I think it comes out forward. There's a little lever right here. There you go, right here. I'd like to push that down. Push, and let's see. Oh, of course, forgot the screws. You guys didn't remind me. Okay. Yeah, the good thing with these small form factors is that I do have customers that come in that specifically want them. I work primarily with IT guys, and they go ahead and sell them and service them to offices. So they like the small form factor ones. They can hide it behind the monitor or under a what's the right word? Like having a brain fart. You can put the monitor on top of this bracket. It's kind of like a little mount that it goes on the desk. So this is the working. We don't want to confuse this with the non-working one, right? So we'll just keep that here. All right. So now yeah, I was talking about my space. Why I put things back together as far as for these computers is that when their value is a little bit more than and is worth my time sitting there and taking it apart, right? And if the value is sufficient as far as retail value, if there's a good market for it, I do end up fixing them, putting them back together, obviously without compromising customer data. So in that case, yes, I would be putting them back together. Let's see. There you go. I should have a Staples. That was easy. And I spoke too soon. Okay. Let's carefully put that back. There you go. go. Okay, that's out. We're gonna put it on the floor. I don't want to confuse it. Okay, so I'm not gonna put it all back together. There's no point in that. Okay. So, if you guys remember, the first thing we did when we plugged in the power, we want to see if the light turned on, right? Let's see if this one turns on. Okay. So, it's only doing that because there are pieces that are not connected and there is RAM that's not connected. But at least now we know that it turns on, it functions. All right, now we'll put the RAM in. Let's see if that beeping sound goes away. All right. So, oh no, this is DDR4. That was DDR3. Funny enough, the power supply still works for that. Okay, so DDR4, I don't want to keep it on for too long. Last thing I need is for the CPU to overheat, but we'll just connect it anyway, you know, considering that these are more valuable parts. Last thing I need is for this thing to overheat. So we'll go ahead and do that just to give it a little bit of cooling, and let's try it again. Light turns on, that functions. Any beeping sound? No beeping sound. So in this case, the last thing I would do, right? The last thing I would do would be to plug it to a monitor just to make sure that it does post, right? But in this specific situation, because I am streaming, I'm not going to be doing that. So we're just gonna take the computer for its word, right? Plug that. Take this. Yeah, this is putting it back together, honestly, is such a strain. It takes so much time. Honestly, it takes so much time. But it's with this business, I get oftentimes stuff in that overwhelms the place, and if I don't immediately put things back together, there will be parts, screws, things everywhere, and there's no chance of me putting it back together after that. So I lose money instantly just by not being organized, you know, in my specific situation. You know, you guys have your process and that works for you. You know, it's unfortunately my space is small over here. Rent is crazy where I am, so in order for me to keep the overhead costs low, you know, I have to be efficient with where I am. So, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, oh wait, we first put the CD drive back. How did it go again? This way. Okay. Let's connect the cables. All right. Perfect. Now, these have a locking mechanism. So you gotta make sure that wires are free of this spot. Okay. And once it is, you go. All right. That's funny. Yeah. So before I opened up this business, I opened up this business like around, how long has it been? I think it's been 2.5 years now, right? Before that, I was buying and selling computers for years. Oh, it didn't fit. Okay. I was buying and selling computers for years, buying off of Craigslist, selling off of Craigslist after like the recession in 07, 08. That's what I was doing. So I kind of started off being very sensitive, making sure that I'm not breaking anything, because I was trying to flip a profit on each item, you know? So it's from there that, oh my God, why is this having such a hard time? There you go. It's from there that I really got into being gentle with these computers, in a sense. Okay, so that's in its spot. Go ahead and close it up. Okay, perfect. Okay, there's always these screws in the back. Perfect. Okay. Oh, guess what? You know, we just forgot this. Okay. Shark Scrapper, how are the prices now where you are? Have they gone up? Because people over here, which way they go like this? People over here, I don't know. It's weird. Some people are saying that the prices have gone up. Other people are complaining that they're not making as much as before. I mean, my prices haven't changed. But then again, I don't sell to scrap yards. I sell to other like e-waste companies. So I'm curious if it has changed for you at all. Okay, and that's complete. One double check just to make sure. We gotta put the screws here, but turns on, and we're good on this. Okay. See, I can even hear the buzzing off of this power supply. It's literally about to go out. So the one I chose that allowed me to turn on the main computer that we're working on right now, it had just enough life left in it to go through the test. So we're just putting the screws back. Now it's complete. Put this away. And back to this. So we figured out this is a DDR4 system, of course, from what it says. It turns on with the fan and everything connected, no beeping sound, nothing. I have not checked to see if it posts, right? But sure enough, it turns on, it works, functions. So that is my precursory test. So we will be saving this board. And just for the purposes of doing it live, right? Let's see what it goes for. So this board does not go for much. It goes for around $18 to $25, right? So with the CPU, which goes around $180 to $200, this setup right here, right, with the RAM missing, goes for over $200. So it may not sell as fast because it's connected to a board, but what I can do is I can just sell the CPU separately for $180 to $200. But in this specific situation, we're just going to keep it together and let's pop this out. My non-ferrous yard lowered prices a little on the copper and aluminum. Prices for shred steel and computer parts at my other yard have remained steady. High grade boards $125. What are you getting for steel? I mean, I know it doesn't really change much. For steel, I'm getting around 3 cents, 3 to 4 cents. So for board sort, do you just ship it out to them, or they have a truck that, like, nationwide they can come pick up from anywhere? Because I've never sold to them. I just sell to local companies. Another part that can be salvaged, right? So with this, all right, we got a Phillips. So why I'm taking this apart, just to give you guys some sort of an idea, right? Typically, units like this, small form factor units, are very sought after. They get purchased very often. The reason why this one is being parted out is because we do not have certain pieces like the front face, right? And I'm not interested in going and buying the front face and this and that when the CPU, right, goes for $200, the board goes for $20. Let's say if I just sell for $200, right? And if I were to sell the whole system for $250 or $275, I'd rather just sell it quick because the processors sell it quick. I'm not interested in sitting here and holding the tower as a complete piece, right? But if it was complete, right, if I had everything and I just had to change the hard drive or whatever, I would have kept it as a complete piece. You have to ship it to board sort. They are paying $100 for 6/7 Gen if it is functional. That makes sense. That makes sense. Absolutely. I mean, they do have to make a profit on it too, you know. The thing with me, why I like eBay, I've been selling on eBay for so long, right? That it's just I don't view it as difficult. It's like second nature to list items and all that. But that's actually not bad. $100 for 6th Gen i7, and 5 cents for shred. Shred, what you're referring to is the steel, if I'm understanding correctly. I think this is what's holding it. This bracket, this little screw. Okay. All right. It's in a tight spot, but see from both sides, just to give you guys an idea, right? So there's an I/O from this side, and there's an I/O from this side, and they're both connected very tightly in the system. So I'm thinking, because this one has this piece protruding. Oh, there you go. Nothing to think about. We just unscrew this, and this bracket comes right off. That way you can just slide straight up. But this, nope, not my ADD. Let's stick to one thing. All right. I was about to take out the power button. Okay. Here's the bracket for the front I/O. The good thing about Dell, they use primarily all the same screws. Very gently, we take this out. Last thing I need is a return on eBay. And there you have it. Hopefully it picks it up now. You can see the writing on the CPU. I don't know if you can see that. It's a i7 6700. And that's it. Right? We would take the speaker. These have internal speakers. We would take the power button. Let's move the board on the side. Yeah, that makes sense for the shred. Okay. We have the power button. And the fan rubber mounts. That came off easy. And there you have it. Completely empty. Just the steel, or the shred in this case. So let's get this out, and I'll show you what we're able to salvage. So we have the motherboard, CD drive, hard drive bracket with the locking mechanism and its according SATA cables and the power cable. The front I/O shield, the screw for this bracket, it goes through the bottom over here and locks, right? This goes through the board, I believe right here, right? So all this is saved. Obviously this would be sold with the board, the fan for the case, speaker, the power button, and this, well, I'm having another brain fart. This is the sensor to make sure that the system is closed. This basically tells the system that that cover is closed. And that's it. That's me scrapping out two computers, both at different levels, different categories. Here we had a Core 2 Duo, and this one is a 6th Gen i7. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing this live stream like 3 times a week or 4 times a week. I'm not too sure. I may get burned out doing it because I'm doing it during work hours. But that's the current idea. I'm brainstorming on that, and putting out 1 edited, polished video a week. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. I show you guys scrapping of electronics, e-waste, and that's both taking apart and putting together. The video I'll be posting within a couple of days is in regards to a gaming computer. It's a Republic of Gamers Asus computer that was given to me in pieces, right? So, and a lot of parts were missing, original parts were missing from it. But in that video, I show you guys how I put it together, bring it back to the factory settings, because systems like that, gaming computers, they do end up being purchased quite often. They're sought after. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, it is really it is interesting. Like, this is the 2nd day I'm doing the live stream, but I'm kind of getting like, it's like getting a high off of doing live stream. But you may be right. I want to try it. Let's see what happens. Or the other option would be just to shoot the videos and have like 3 videos, 4 videos a week, but pay someone to sit there and edit, because I do go to law school at nights, and it is quite demanding as far as when I close here and then I go to school at night. So yeah, there isn't really much time after to study and edit videos too. So anyway, I'm glad you guys joined the live stream. Thank you very much. Thank you for the feedback. I've been looking at the live chat the whole time. Let's see. I may get into it tomorrow as well. I will try to pace myself. I'm going to see how it feels. This seems pretty good to me because I do have to do this anyway, so I figured might as well get into it. I'm just now explaining. It's kind of like, as you guys already know, it's like I'm narrating what I'm doing. But let's see how it goes. Thank you guys once again for checking out the live stream. I'll talk to you